Hey, this is Shumi from Overdrive, and that finally is not a spy shot of a Royal Enfield Himalayan. It's the actual thing. Yeah, they revealed it today, and I'm going to quickly run you through the motorcycles. And with me, say hi. That's Aditya. That's the guy waving, not the guy behind him. That's Ashok, and there's Suresh. And together we came here to cover the Himalayan. Everybody's left except for us, and I'll quickly run you through. That's the side panel. I really like the way the Himalayan logo is done. That's basically recessed in, and on the tank it repeats like this. A reason that I don't fully understand, but it says fuel, just in case you wanted to put something else in the tank. If you do, you will get 15 liters of the stuff. That's the meters. I really like them. Does a nice little self check, and you've got this little digital readout here which has a lot of information in it, including a clock, which I always like. A temperature readout, which is very interesting. I wonder what is the lowest a Royal Enfield will read. Whatever it is, this motorcycle will tell you what it accurately was. Speedometer, odometer, trip meter, blah blah blah. And on this side you've got a neat little fuel gauge. A compass, yes, a compass, very nice. And that of course is the little rev counter. I really like this little detail. That, let me just focus on that. So it, yeah, so that little nub is actually the hazard light. As you can see, the hazards come on, and of course that little nub there allows you to reset your trip meters and stuff. Mirrors, simple, easy access switch gear, no big complication engineering going on there. Contrast colored bar ends. We saw this yesterday on the V12, on the Bajaj V15 as well. Not a fan of the contrast color on there, not a fan of the contrast color here either. What Royal Enfield did, which is very interesting to me, is they created this frame pretty early in the development cycle, and they say that's because when you get luggage at that end of the motorcycle over there, it changes the weight distribution. So having all of this in the front actually allows you to offset the weight transfer a little bit when you add luggage. The screen of course is standard, and here's the front 21-inch wheel. It's a SEAT grip tire, 1990 section. Good choice, because 1990 is very easy to get in terms of replacement tires for this. If you don't like the SEAT, you get a lot of options. That's the front disc, I think 300 mm if memory serves. No ABS right now, but I was reliably told that if tomorrow ABS became a norm, the government actually did something about it and said yes, you have to have ABS. Royal Enfield would have ABS. That's the new engine. It's called the LS410. It's a 411cc engine, brand new, 2-valve SOHC long stroke motor. That's why it's called the LS. That's long stroke, and it's completely new. It makes good torque, reasonable power, and the torque lasts for a long time, and that's the sort of USP of the bike. It's meant to be something that you ride easily and calmly, and it does a lot of work for you in that mode. It's not an all-out performance motorcycle, and it's not supposed to be. I suspect the 5-speed gearbox will also be like that, nicely spaced ratio, so you can use the torque rather than try and go really fast. And from what we know, CEO MD Siddharth Lal took the bike out for a spin towards Hampi, and he said cruising between 80 and 110 was not placid, and I think by that he meant it was an involving ride, not a slow one. Now I'll go closer, and it's pretty dark in here, so I don't know if I'll be able to show you or not, but that's the new monoshock right there. It sort of sits like that. It's pretty long. If you can see, the bottom is in there, and it's a linkage type monoshock. And Royal Enfield told us they did a lot of engineering work to ensure that the seat height remains reasonable. It's a 800 mm high seat. That's why it's a little thin. It felt really comfortable to sit on. We obviously have not ridden the motorcycle. One of the things that I noticed, and it will be an issue for me because I do use my sorry, I touched the mic, I think. I'm sorry. One of the issues that I think I will have personally with the motorcycle, because I use my ankles a lot, and when I sat on the bike, that's where my heel went up straight to the Bybri logo. And so if this were mine, I would have to figure out what I need to do with my ankles. This motorcycle is wearing accessories. That's a stock exhaust, but these panniers are something that you'll have to purchase on your own. They're pretty neat. They're, I think, about, if I'm correct, about I think 22 liters or something like that. That's what it looks like. You'll have to purchase them separately, including the frame that they're mounted on, which will also have to be purchased separately. And Royal Enfield is working on other luggage options, which I'll quickly walk over to at the end of this video and show you. Tail lamp, this little rack of course is standard. Don't mind the finish, this is a prototype. The final bikes will be a little bit better than this, I think, at least. Simple frame, Royal Enfield calls it a split cradle, and that's basically because it splits here, and then there's two rails under the engine holding it. And yes, of course, front and center is the new oil cooler. That's part of the cooling system of the motorcycle. This is a carbureted motorcycle. Royal Enfield said they did try a fuel injected version. I'm sure if the emission norms get tight, there will be a fuel injected version, but they think given the performance and the results that they're getting from carburetors, they don't really need it. They've said they've tested it all over the Himalayas. It's gone from sea level to very high altitudes without problems, so that should not be a problem. Now I'm going to quickly walk over to the other side of the venue where all the gear is. They've taken some of the bags out, but on the left, that's the Revit gear. roughly 20k for the jacket, roughly 20k for the pants. And this one is called Kaza. This is their own design, classical lines, similar materials to the Revit, but it's a Royal Enfield branded jacket built for themselves. That comes from Vietnam, I think, in terms of construction. That comes from Pakistan. And on the other side here, we have a cutout of the LS 410 engine. Okay, the pictures are on our Twitter feed, of course, if you wanted to see it. Here's the engine, and that's the engine on its own. This is the white motorcycle. This is completely unaccessorized. This is what you would walk into a showroom to buy. Now the question is, when would you buy this? Well, I'm going to say March is what Royal Enfield intends to have this in the showrooms at. If you're going to ask me price, they haven't announced one yet. I'm going to say about 2 lakh rupees, maybe a little bit under. It's not a very high spec motorcycle, so it should be very affordable. And honestly, it's not a good looking motorcycle in the classical sense of the word good looking, but there is something very refreshingly honest and quirky about the motorcycle. I've really enjoyed looking at the motorcycle, and I can't wait to ride it. As you know, the test rides will be on Overdrive sometime in March. We are on at ODMAG, from where we'll tweet when we are riding, and for the Auto Expo. We are also on Facebook, you know, overdrive.in, and we also recently got ourselves apps on iOS and Android. Download those so that you can stay up to date with the news. This is the Royal Enfield Himalayan.